I did a short a while back where I was calling for a ceasefire, and I had so much blowback on that short, just 30 seconds or however long, where I said we should have a permanent ceasefire. This was months ago. The blowback from the comment section, just crazy. How many people are out there actually cheering on, asking for the blood of innocent people? How many people are out there doing that? It's just mind blowing. And it really takes away all hope in humanity, really all hope. I mean, think about our brothers and sisters over the last 100 years who faced the same thing. Not just in Germany, but in Armenia or in any other place. Would we have been silent then as well? Would we have let things unfurl so that they come to their inevitable end? Seriously, boys and girls? Seriously? Hi, welcome back to another episode of Art World Confessions. I haven't done one of these for a while, and I don't think anyone really missed them, but I thought it was an opportune time at the 169th day, or going into the 6 months, to have a sip from Starbucks cup and to think about how in the years past I used to eat McDonald's, and how almost every corporation that buys art is complicit in what's going on right now. And I won't go into what's going on right now. I think everyone in the art world knows what's going on right now. As you'll see in these little slides that I'm presenting, the discussion has gone from being something that we heard about that happened to somebody because somebody was fired for saying something, to a discussion between people who know each other and feel obliged to police each other, whether on social media or in the office or in the museum space or in the book fair space or in any space. Very early when this started in October, during Paris Plus, there was someone who posted a really funny meme, and it said, it shows the world burning down, and underneath we have this famous actor shouting, "Would anyone like to buy something?" And that's pretty much how the art world has continued. Everyone just buying and selling, or at least trying to buy and sell. Supposedly it's a soft market these days, so if you bought something in 2022 and you're trying to sell it now in 2024, well, good luck getting the same price that you got for it at auction or wherever else you happen to buy it from. I'm just gonna go through a few of the exchanges that popped up for me over the last 6 months, things that were rather funny or disturbing or all of the above. I mean, for myself, I was quiet because I could see that, especially on this platform, you can't say much without being deplatformed. So I kept what I had to say for other platforms, which gave you a hard time anyways, but whatever. It's all like, I'm ready to burn it all down, to be honest. So I hope you enjoy this. I hope you get something out of it. And I hope that when you look back in future generations, you wouldn't have been one of those who stayed silent. As I was saying to one of the people who criticized me speaking out so vocally on other platforms, if I were you guys, I would be applauding me, and I would be really, really, really scared about the people who are silent. Because 100 years ago, when things were happening, those same people would have been silent and let all of the other people who are suffering right now, or who are supporting the suffering of other people, they would have let you guys go to where. LinkedIn as a social media platform used to be this professional place that you could post things about your profession. Well, all I can say is a lot of the lawyers on that platform, they've really shown us what they're about. And I mean, really, if you look at what they have to say, it's nothing short of, if it's legal, you can do it. And we all know that certain things throughout history were legal and they were wrong. So whether or not your definition of what's happening right now is in the dictionary or not, you can use your eyes and you can tell if it's right or if it's wrong. So while people are starving and there are efforts to raise money for the starving people, there are other people who are advisors or whatever you want to call them, marketing people for art companies who are telling you, no, don't give money to these people because you think you're giving money to help starving children, but in reality, it's going to all the hummus, everything is like hummus this, hummus that, hummus the other. And I don't know about you, but I'm not giving to anyone that I don't feel comfortable to give to. The little that I have, I give it to who I think are credible people, credible sources, and they show results of what they're doing with the money. Like literally, people are spending tons of money just to get food because everything is super expensive right now. When they can find stuff, it's extremely expensive. Then of course there are some art world people who are from the country perpetrating all of the violence onto civilian population, and they will write me things like, oh my god, since October you've really surprised me with your posts. And I would answer, well, why? Because people finally see what's happening and they speak about it. What is surprising about that? Then other people will say things like, oh good, it's good to see now you've become radicalized. And I'm like, radicalized? You mean humanized, right? Like people grew a spine and became human. So that's what we all should be, human beings, not worms, not spineless creatures without a spine, able to stand up for injustice when we see it. After spending years in fields that are controlled by a certain demographic, people seem really surprised to know that I know so much about whether it's Yiddish or Hebrew or anything related to Judaism. They just somehow think because you're black, you don't know anything and that you need to quote unquote do your research. What's really become apparent is that all of these people who think that they're in the creative field and they support creatives, what we really see is that they support white supremacism. They support anything that gives them money, whatever that is, whether it's a company, a person. I mean, how can MoMA ban a scarf? How can a museum ban an article of clothing that's a symbol of a culture? How is that art? I mean, that's basically the question I want to ask throughout this video. How is that art to any of this? None of this is art. None of it at all. Anything that's shutting down voices of inquiry, anything that's shutting down voices of creativity, anything that's shutting down voices of change, of protest, that's not art. You can be sure about that. In Peter Matheson's The Spirit of Crazy Horse, the story of Leonard Peltier, he recounts how during the time of the protests for the Native Americans, that there were infiltrators from the FBI who became part of the tribes to watch what they were doing. And I felt pretty much that in this day and age, we have similar situation. The same way land is being stolen and sold in the exact same way that it was done to the Native Americans in America. All of that hasn't changed. Many of the things we saw in the last century, we see playing out right now. And for all of those saying, do your research, learn the history, blah, 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 a lot of them don't even know the history because what they know is not really history, it's programming. And that's really where it gets scary. And as one account I follow on Instagram, Sarah of Magdalene, said, so all those girls, going to Burning Man, going to these ceremonies in the jungle, going to Ibiza, going to wherever else they think they have some sort of spiritual life. All of these girls dressed up as goddesses and invoking the feminine. Where is their voice right now when it comes to speaking up to the women of Palestine who are being killed, raped, to the children who are being mass unalived. I mean, we have to say unalived now. We can't talk about a certain word beginning with the letter G. I mean, what kind of democracy is this? What kind of world are we creating where we have to tiptoe around the truth of a whole group of people being erased from their homeland for another group of people with a made-up story of why that is their homeland? I mean, seriously, how does any of this make sense? What we can be sure about is that none of this is new. None of this is anything that we haven't seen before, whether it's the silencing of voices, whether it's the starvation of a population, whether it's the what's called hasbara or propaganda. None of this is new. We've seen it not just for decades, but for centuries. And all I can say is it's time for it to stop. If we as a creative community can't imagine a better world, can't create with our imagination and with our actions a better world, there's not much hope for this planet.